So the next area I want to check in on is our Roma tomatoes. And these are the tomatoes that we've planted with the goal of eventually being pasta sauce, maybe some pizza sauce, maybe it'll go into some of our salsa. But mostly, we came up with a really great recipe last year for a pasta sauce, and so we're hoping to get enough of a yield this year that we can do, we can double or triple what we made last year. Last year we were only able to freeze a few bags full of sauce, so this year we're hoping to get a lot more. But so far, the Roma plants, they're not quite as high as I was hoping they would be at this point, but they're definitely growing. We had some damage come in with some winds, and we had to kind of use sucker branches instead of the main stem to allow some of these to grow. I actually had to take this one out of its wired growing rack just because we had so much damage to it. But we managed to salvage it, it looks like. And from this sucker here, this will eventually become part of the stem, and it will produce tomatoes. Generally, what I like to do is have one stalk coming up, like on this one over here. I can show you this one. We'll prune off all of the suckers and just have one stem coming up from the ground that produces our fruit. And by taking the suckers off, you're taking off the extra growth that would pull nutrients from the stem and from the fruit. And so by limiting what you're growing to just the one stem, all of the nutrients and energy is focused on the fruit from the main stem and not from multiple sucker stems that are growing up, causing the plant to compete, or causing the fruit to compete for nutrients. But these are all our Roma tomatoes. Some are in bigger stages than others, but in a few more weeks or days they will begin to get some color, and we'll be able to start picking some tomatoes eventually. So this doing really well. Excited for our Roma tomatoes, and a chance to have some really good pasta sauce this year. Alright, this next area is quite overgrown, and I need to do a little bit of research. This is our small pumpkin patch, and in here we've planted a couple of varieties of pumpkin, from jack-o'-lantern to harvest pumpkins to, I think we even have some white Casper pumpkins. But let me just show you this before we actually get into the pumpkins. Here's what I love. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got honeybees all over the pumpkin flowers, spreading the pollen. Look, one just flew into that one over there. They're just picking up all the pumpkin, or the nectar, all the pollen. Look at all the bees. There's a ton of bees. Look at that. And they're going from flower to flower to flower, spreading the pollen. And I'm hoping that leads to us having quite a pumpkin spread this year. I don't know what we're going to end up with. If you remember, if you were following the vlog last year, we did a pumpkin patch. I think we got 3 or 4 pumpkins from it. It did not go well. We think we had them down in a place that was too shady, and the leaves just kind of wilted out with like this white mildew because they were getting wet, but they weren't drying. This year, we moved them up to a spot where they get more sunlight during the daytime. So like right now, we're shaded. But you can see this is all sun. That's shaded. It won't be long. This whole area will be shaded. Now here's my concern, is where there is extended shade, we're definitely seeing some of that white mildew, and so we're cutting that off. But the bulk of the plant is green like this, and I think that's what we want to go for. We want to have those green leaves. So there are pumpkins growing in here. I've already seen a good 3, 4, maybe 5 pumpkins growing. I don't know that I'll be able to show you them with the camera, but let me see if I can try to do that. But really excited about the pumpkins. They're coming in really, really well, and we're hoping to get a few pumpkins this year. At least pumpkins that we can do our own pumpkin decorating and jack-o'-lantern carving, and not have to go and buy them this year. And we've got harvest pumpkins, and You know, those are those little kind of colorful gourds, and I know we've got some of them coming in. So let me see if I can dig out what I know is already here, and you can get a chance to see some of the stuff that's growing here in the pumpkin patch. So here's the example. This part of the plant has vined out over here between the shed and the fencing. And you can see it's all just starting to turn white. And my guess is that's because the leaves are getting wet, but they're not drying off. And so we're losing these vines. So I'm going to come in here and probably just cut all of these out because they're not going to produce anything. They're just going to die and spread this wilt, this white mildew. They'll just spread that in all the leaves. So we're going to pull this out. But I tried to show you the one big pumpkin. Here's a better shot at it. And like the cucumbers, that's not the only place we have pumpkins growing. We have planted them in other places to try to maximize our space and growth. And so we've got another, and I believe this is a harvest pumpkin, which again are going to be all those little colorful gourds. But you can see we've got good health growing here. We've got flowers. The bees are hitting this up, spreading the pollen. I don't see any buds yet, but this plant is younger and growing, but she should do nicely. I believe that plant over there, although they look similar, that is one of our cucumber plants. And so we'll start vining that up. And if this is a harvest plant, we've talked about vining those up as well. And so we might still try to get that plant to go up. So pumpkins, add that to our list. Really excited about that. They're doing really, really well.